Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. This is a podcast dedicated to educating and empowering women from preconception, pregnancy, birth, and through early motherhood on wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and I'm a maternity pediatric chiropractor as well as mother who has hand-selected experts in natural holistic healthcare specialties to shine light on options and choices during this exciting phase of a woman's life. And today's episode is sponsored by Informed Pregnancy Plus, which is a fantastic streaming platform for pregnancy and parenting. You can experience it for free at informedpregnancy.tv. Today's episode, I had the honor and privilege of interviewing Michelle Boyer, who is the president and founder of Arctic Lynx Maternity. And we discussed the topic of supporting mothers in pregnancy with time outside. Michelle Boyer is currently president at Arctic Lynx Maternity. She's a graduate of Gettysburg College and began her career in the mortgage industry where she became a senior vice president of compliance. After the birth of her second daughter and with a desire to pursue a more creative career, she had the idea to create a base layer for pregnant women. With much hard work and tears, Arctic Lynx Maternity was dreamed up and created. It was launched in December of 2018. The brand has grown from an offering of 3 products now to 10. She was featured in Runner's World. Her products are Golf Digest, Gear Junkie, and other amazing sites and publications. The brand is working to change the way humanity views pregnant women. Michelle is a passionate advocate of mothers being just as valuable and deserving of care as babies and has worked to pass legislation in the state of Maine to increase health care for women. Based just outside of Portland, Maine, you can find Michelle enjoying hiking trails, beaches, old port shopping, and a good chai tea in her free time. So if you want to check out her amazing high quality activewear for pre and postnatal women, go to her website at arcticlynxmaternity.com. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on today.
Hey, Laura. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So our topic today is focusing on supporting mothers during their pregnancy and beyond with enjoying the great outdoors. So I'd love to talk a little bit about your personal story of kind of like where your background of how you came to create the business that you created and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, sure. I think my main passion, I have two daughters, and my main passion for starting the business really came from 2 things. Wanting technical garments for myself when I was pregnant with my second daughter, wanting to be able to get outside in the snow and the cold and keep doing the things that I loved to do, like hiking or snowshoeing or skiing, and just looking around in the market and not really finding anything at that time that was made for more higher impact, more sweat producing activities. A lot of what I found at the time was yoga wear. And then the second big driver for me is just this desire to really make women feel supported during pregnancy and postpartum. I think as a society, so much focus is on the baby, and the mother ends up, sort of a second rate sometimes. And so I really wanted to focus on using the outdoors as a way for women to really connect to themselves during pregnancy and beyond. And that's a big mission of mine.
Got it. And, you raised an interesting point about how during the pregnancy, a lot of focus is put on the fetus, right? Mm-hmm. The baby to be, so to speak. And then after the birth, like babies are so darn cute, right? Like there's a lot of love and attention going towards that. And we do kind of hear sometimes that potentially some of these postpartum mood disorders could be really related to, number one, the mom not getting enough support. Mm-hmm. And certainly also just not enough care. Right. It can be very simple, like dropping off a nourishing hot meal for your friend who just gave birth, right. To make sure she's nourished, nutritionally wise. Right. Or holding the baby so she can take a nap or whatever it is. But that's why I love postpartum doulas, because their main objective is to take care of the new mom. That is their main goal, right? So as opposed to a baby nurse who is all about taking care of the newborn. So yeah, postpartum moms need a lot of care and support, especially those first 3 months postpartum. So you created essentially an active clothing line that is for pregnant bodies and postpartum bodies, nursing bodies, and is meant for cold weather. But it's also, is there any like warmer weather, like sweat wicking type? Is it all season round type of clothes?
Yeah, it really can be worn all season round. In the warmer weather, the base layer is going to be just as great at wicking sweat. So that'll help keep you drier, which will keep you, cooler in the sense that you won't be covered in sweat. And I think we all know like sweating in cotton is never fun or pleasurable. So yeah, they can. And we have a t-shirt in our line that can be used in the summertime when maybe it's warmer out.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So it's just understanding, like you said, the technical layers as opposed to just a t-shirt. A lot of, even like the pregnancy nursing tanks, they're all cotton. So like, I think a lot of pregnant clothing is as I'm thinking about it, is cotton based, right? Which is fine day to day, but isn't really great for a lot of movement and activity. And even like if there's an athletic line of clothing that's meant for like working out in the gym, your clothes are not only for exercise and movement, but specifically for the outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah. And every piece is created to be durable and versatile. I wanted something, I know when I was pregnant, I wanted something that I could wear outside for a hike or a bike or, a run, but then maybe I also wanted to go to dinner in it if I hadn't sweated through, so throw on a pair of jeans and with our t-shirt or long sleeve shirt, so that it was a product that could be versatile as well,
Right. Multi-use.
Yeah.
And what did you do during your first pregnancy? Were you able to get outdoors and move, or you did, but you just didn't come up with the idea till the second pregnancy?
Right. Yeah. And so getting outside has always been a big part of my life. I grew up on Cape Cod and my family did not have a lot of means. So my dad specifically, and my mom too, but he took us outside a lot. And it's just something that's always been a part of my life. I always feel all the good feels when I'm outside in the woods or at the beach or skiing, the fresh air, the sunlight, all the things that we know that are good for us. So getting outside has always been something that's important to me. And yeah, with my first pregnancy, I was 29 and I did get outside, but I didn't have the idea. And I think I was, even though I thought at the time that I was pretty smart and informed, I think I was, willing to sort of just take what I could get and sort of not ask a lot of questions. And I think with my first pregnancy, I believed some of those more not so great stereotypes about like, well, it's all about the baby. And, your sort of your role now is just this caregiver, and who you are as a person sort of takes a back seat. And that's something by the time I had my second daughter, I was 36. And I really just sort of was like, no, this is not what's right for me. And I don't think it's right for women, for a lot of women in general.
Correct. And what we do find, like back to that mama self-care, which is a theme in every single episode I do, when women do put their care, which includes like what you're talking about, going for a hike or, quiet meditating, quiet time, whatever you need that is, unique to your personal needs, separate from the baby's needs. When you make that a priority, you fill your cup up, you're able to give so much more to your family, and everyone benefits from that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, it's such a great tool for us as we go through motherhood in general, life in general, as things get stressful. It's great if you can get outside and sort of reap some of those natural benefits of being outside and moving your body.
So can you speak to why that's even maybe more important during pregnancy and that perinatal phase of a woman's life? Like, we understand the benefits just for all of us, but I feel like there is some unique benefits during that really special stage of a woman's life of having that time out in with Mother Gaia.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, certainly, and for a lot of women, it's like the time outside. Obviously, your body's changing during pregnancy. So getting out and moving your body helps you manage your weight to whatever level you're sort of comfortable with. And then also like for some of that fresh air, sunlight to sort of relieve some of the stress. I think once you are pregnant, there's a lot of information to take in. There's a lot of advice given, a lot of, in my experience, unwanted advice given. So I think, getting outside where you can move your body and get some sort of natural stress reduction as well can really help. And to, I think what you just said a few minutes ago, sort of that meditative quality of quiet and being outside, that can really just benefit, your mind and your stress level, and then the physical body too, keeping it moving. And as you said, like during pregnancy and postpartum, there is the importance of, getting a lot of water in, and then, moving your body can help with sort of getting that all flowing and keeping everything moving through your body.
Yeah, we find that women that move during their pregnancy have less common pregnancy symptoms, right? So back to that, maintaining a healthy weight gain to avoid gestational diabetes, certainly less joint pain with, healthy, gentle movements. And if someone's super fit going into that pregnancy, they can even do a little more activity, right? So I think part of your line is also like, if you want to keep skiing and rock climbing and all the things that you've been doing for years before you became pregnant, why does that have to have a hard stop once you're pregnant? Perhaps when you're 39 weeks, you may not feel like doing some of those activities, but the reality is that it's a unique hard stop, so to speak, for you and your body and that pregnancy even, right? And that can even change from pregnancy. So it's really recognizing, I feel good today. I feel good about going skiing because I know how to ski. I'm not worried about falling. I'm not worried about hurting myself or the baby. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to get so much joy from that. And all those beautiful endorphins are going to pass through the umbilical cord, and the baby's going to benefit from all those feel good hormones as well. So, that's kind of the mindset that I hear you're wanting to encourage women to really still continue to be the woman you are, and modify as necessary, but not modify based off of external suggestions or unwanted advice from others that may not be applicable to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you said that perfectly. And to really I hope when mothers interact with our brand, whether they're customers or just followers on social media or just see something, I really hope that they feel supported. Like the brand is really intended to really cater to the mom, whatever the journey is. All our journeys are different. And to your point, maybe it's rock climbing, maybe it's just taking your dog for a walk every day. Whatever your level of activity is, just, supporting that person who deserves just as much support and care and love as the baby gets.
Yeah. And I do find that when I'm outside, and especially when I was pregnant, and that grounding, activity of really connecting to the core of the earth helps the intuition. We know pregnant women and new moms are extremely intuitive, even maybe more heightened than before. And but the more grounded a woman is, right, the even more she can tap into that power of intuition. And that really serves us when we're getting conflicting advice and suggestions, whether it's books we're reading or from our birth provider or, from family members that are wanting our best interests, but are sometimes a little bit, to have a different philosophy, right, around what health is or pregnancy looks like. And so the more we can tap into our own intuition, it can be very clear then of like what what are the right decisions at this moment for us and this baby, before and after the birth.
Yeah, absolutely. I always feel personally like when I get outside, it just drowns a lot of the noise from like modern life is very busy and there is a lot coming at us all the time. And I think to your point, like getting outside and feeling grounded and being able to tap into sort of what's important for you and what's, who are you outside of, all the advice or the other things that are coming at you sort of on a regular basis.
Right. So I want you to tell us what your brand is, because you haven't said the name yet, and and what is in your line specifically, and how can women find your products?
Yeah. So my brand is Arctic Lynx Maternity. It is a small line. We have 5 core products, which is 3 tops, a t-shirt, a long sleeve, and a tunic style top. And then we also have 2 leggings, a maternity legging, and then also a postpartum legging. And we have a few accessories too. We have some great little onesies that we did with another local Maine company, and a scarf and a couple hats. So that's our brand, and you can find us at arcticlynxmaternity.com. That's our website, and also our social media handles.
Got it. So women can go shopping, order it, have it shipped to their home. Do you ship outside of the U.S.?
We do to Canada. Outside of that, we can't really be competitive with shipping prices. We're still, somewhat of a small brand. And so we do ship to Canada. And we are working this winter on getting into some retail stores. So none that we can talk about yet, but we have not done wholesale before, but we're working on that this year.
Oh, that would be so wonderful for women, wherever pregnant women, new moms are shopping, to be able to pick up these pieces, locally and grab them. And I think also, like, for me, like, I remember when I was shopping during my pregnancy, it was like, I got so excited when I saw a bathing suit. I was like, oh, this is great, because I really, I wanted to go to the beach, and I was like, I do not want to wear my bikinis that I had. Like, I just didn't feel like there was enough coverage for me wearing my pre-pregnancy bikini. So anyways, things like that just help you still like enjoy the things that you were doing all along. Or even, like you said, maybe a woman isn't, like an extreme outdoor athlete, but she enjoys walking her dog every day, and she lives in a cold weather area. And maybe, the later part of her pregnancy is in the winter months. And, how do you cover up and stay warm and protected and really be able to hang out for like a half hour, despite the weather. Like, certainly you see in the Scandinavian countries, they're outside all year round. They don't care what the weather is. They always say it's not bad weather. It's bad, outdoor weather, clothing, right? If you're cold, you didn't dress appropriately, whether it's your child or your pregnant belly or whatever it is, right? So it's that same mindset of like, it doesn't matter if it's raining or if it's cold or whatever. Like, we're meant to be outdoors every single day. And how do we feel good being outdoors despite, if we don't live in San Diego, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my big dream, is like to really change the way we view pregnancy as humans. I wish that, a woman could go into her local favorite outdoor retailer, whatever that store may be, and, oh, I'm pregnant. Oh, isn't this great? They have a few offerings for me, because that shows support for women. Just having a few offerings really shows support, instead of them having to, hunt and peck to find what they need. It creates just a better environment, I think, for everyone, if we can get a little bit more widespread, and women can in general feel more supported about doing their activities during pregnancy.
It's so true. I do remember like going into my second trimester. So my belly was tiny, but I really couldn't fit into my regular pants. Yeah. And I went to like an athletic store, and all they could offer me was like an elastic band drawstring, had some growing room, which did work for, a few more weeks, but I got the next size up, but it was like, it wasn't like meant for my changing body, right? It was meant for a non-pregnant body. That was a size larger than me. Right. So, it was kind of like, that was like the makeshift, like, because I was traveling, I was out of town and I was like, oh, wow, these pants aren't going to work. And, I'm 14 weeks, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, it's that weird, like, nobody really knows you're pregnant, right? You just like bloated, but like, you're already like, okay, I need something now. And, I'd like it to be able to last for a while. And I think also what I'm hearing when there's high quality products like this, we know our pregnant postpartum body isn't forever. But then ideally, if you're getting this during your first pregnancy and you have multiple pregnancies, you can use it multiple times. And then you pass it on to other pregnant women in your community, right? Like, it sounds like there's a long shelf life to these products.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I like to tell customers too. Pass it on to a friend, save it for another pregnancy, donate it to a women's shelter if you're not going to use it, and you don't have a friend who's pregnant. That's always a great option too, but that's a
great option.
Yeah. And they will last through multiple pregnancies. And, they can be, handed on or given to a consignment store, whatever works for you.
Yeah. I also, I like, as you and I were chatting before the show about kind of how, back to that mama being the second fiddle to the fetus and baby, it's like, it's almost like there's been culturally these belief systems of, it's a finite time, right? Nobody's pregnant forever. So it's only for a few months. So if X, Y, and Z aren't going well for you, you have pain or whatever your symptoms are, or your clothes are really what you need to have to go for your hike, like, it's okay, because it's only for a few months, right? So, borrow your husband's shirt or sweatshirt, something baggy, because it's gonna, quote unquote fit, but it's not flattering. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't give you what you need, right? So I think really we're talking to this underlying, how do we make our needs a priority as women? And that's really going against generations of stereotyping, where women's needs were not put first, whether they were pregnant or not, right? So I think with your brand, I love, it's like, I deserve to invest in buying these quality pieces because I'm worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. You said that so well. Because, certainly we wouldn't buy, if we weren't pregnant, we wouldn't buy a pair of jeans that didn't fit us and just say, well, I'll just wear them for, 9 months. It's not that long, get rid of them. You buy clothes to fit you. And I think that was one of the sort of the impetuses behind the brand. I wanted to be outside and I couldn't find anything. And my husband was like, here, wear these. And it's this like old pair of like, stretched out long johns that he had. And I was like, no, it was important to me to still have clothes that fit me and to still feel like I looked attractive.
Yes.
The way I wanted to look.
Yes.
And not just to feel like I was walking around in clothes that were oversized because I was pregnant. And I do think it's another way to support women in, like you said, and like, you're important too, and you matter too, and you can invest in yourself during this period of time, even though it's not going to last your entire life.
Yes, exactly. It's really true. You even hear about women that are like, oh, I still have my jeans from high school, and they're a couple sizes too small, but I'm holding on. And I think, in general, if we know about just cleaning out our closet, cleaning out our dresser, it's like, yes, if it was something for pregnancy and postpartum and you think you might have another pregnancy, that's worthy of hanging on to, right? Putting in your storage unit, your basement. But in general, like, just getting rid of stuff, right? And like clothing is what we're talking about, that we just no longer, it doesn't spark joy, right? It's like, we don't love it anymore. We're not using it. We haven't touched it. So let's move it on. Let's donate it. And a women's shelter is a great idea. Or some, a Salvation Army or somewhere. The people are so grateful to have, quality clothing donated to them, and especially clothing that's meant for the outdoors, right? Like if this is a homeless woman, right? Like, and she's outside for part of the year, like you need warm clothes. Like that's a big deal. This episode is brought to you by Informed Pregnancy Plus, the ultimate streaming platform for expectant and new parents. Dive into a rich collection of insightful videos from iconic films from Ricky Lake's The Business of Being Born to The Empowering Orgasmic Birth and many others, including my documentary. Explore the mind-body section with meditation, yoga, and fitness classes, including Baby by Simone and Belly Dance for Birth, all with your subscription. Delve into workshops, book insights, and TV-style series covering everything from fertility to breastfeeding. It's a must-have for moms-to-be and birthing professionals. And with apps available for Apple, Android, and Roku, streaming is a breeze. The best part? Try Informed Pregnancy Plus for free. Visit informedpregnancy.tv and start today.
Yeah. I think it's so, to your point about clothing in general, it's so inbred in us as women to always want to be the smaller size. And it's like, it's okay to let those clothes go. That's not where you are right now.
It's not relevant. Like really just let's be in the present moment, you know? And you know what? God bless. Like if you and we're not talking during pregnancy, but if you like do a cleanse and you lose the weight and you're a smaller size, then that's just what, I mean, I would want to celebrate and go shopping to get what is current, for my current body and not what I wore 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for myself personally, like, especially after children, my hips are not what they were when I was in my 20s. Even if I was the same size, my hips would be different. Our bodies just change. And I think it's okay to accept that. I mean, we don't expect anything else to stay the same through our lifetime. So why should our bodies stay the same? Yeah, exactly.
It's really true. I mean, the rib cage, I feel like my rib cage never went back to where it was after I gave birth. Your boobs definitely look different after breastfeeding. Like things change, man. And, for women that are so blessed to become a mother, it's like, not that we're once again sacrificing our bodies for motherhood, but it's just like, it's part of the process. Right. And, but still like wanting to look and feel good no matter where we're at, right? I think that's very important for self-esteem and self-confidence. And then also what we're modeling to our children, right?
Yeah.
On the other side, I think especially if we have daughters, we want to really, show that we feel good in our bodies and we're not like just trying to always like lose those last 10 pounds or whatever. We're eating well, we're moving, all the things. Like, so you have 2 children now?
I do. Yeah. I have 2 girls.
And so as a family, I'm assuming you guys are outside a lot and you're modeling, eating well, I'm assuming, and moving. Cause I mean, I find that people that are very active in moving their body tend to also make better food choices. Right. And that goes together as well. And then doing it as a family, what is that emotional bonding like?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is something we like to do. We live in Maine. And so Maine is a great state to get outside in. We have a lot of open space. And it's funny. I was thinking about this before you and I started talking because with my 2 girls, sometimes, after school, I might take them on a hike and it's like, as soon as I'm like, hey, we're going to stop and take, sort of a short local hike, it's like, oh, Mom, I don't want to go. And then as soon as we get outside and we get hiking, it's like they are laughing together or we're all looking for like, look at this leaf I found that's really cool. Or sometimes I'll be like, let's hug a tree. And everyone like hugs a tree, So it is definitely creates a lot of bonds. And with my husband too, we definitely get outside and I think it's important for them because I feel like as they get older, I want them to have this same tool to know that if they get outside and get into the woods, they can connect with themselves and sort of slow down or take a break from maybe things in their lives that are stressing them out.
Right. And so this is like just a great lifestyle habit to show our children, model it, and to like there's the connection as a family, but then there's what I'm hearing is a connection to themselves as well. And an awareness that once they're adults, or at least even teenagers, they can go on hikes by themselves, and why they would choose to do that as opposed to being in front of a screen, for example.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just something we really need as humans, to be outside in the natural world and remembering that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves, or, whatever we have going on in our lives at the moment that can feel big or small. It's nice to step outside and remember that we're part of something much larger than ourselves.
I love that. I was even thinking back to, like when I was a kid, there was no social media. There really wasn't even computers. I feel like I'm a freaking dinosaur, but like the reality is that children growing up right now, like we can't even imagine what it was like. Cause even for young moms, it's already so drastically different, right? Like AI and tech is just changing so rapidly. So they're having a very different childhood experience, right, than we did. But I think what you're saying is like nature has been there for millions of years, and, fingers crossed it will be around for millions more. And that's a commonality that we have no matter what the generation. And then what if even like a grandparent was along for the walk? And, how beautiful is that?
Yeah. 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 And I know, like, I'm part of a Facebook group, and we do like sometimes meetups, and it's just moms. So it's like, that can be really cool too. Like I'm meeting up with just other moms or other girlfriends. And then sometimes it might be like, oh, let's bring our kids too. Cause I think, getting outside is important. And then there's lots of different ways you can do it and sort of meet wherever you're at in your life, or whatever your needs are, bonding with your family, or meeting up with some girlfriends to laugh and sit by a campfire. And,
That's so huge too, because, during pregnancy, it's really wonderful to connect with other pregnant moms in your area. And certainly postpartum as well. Like when you're in that same stage of life, you see friendships that are created that last for decades, because it's nice to also have, like, if you're pregnant and your friend's pregnant, or you make a new friend who's pregnant, you can ask questions and share and talk about things that you can't, if your friends have never been pregnant, they can't relate to that. Right. And you don't have to just do it over a cup of coffee or a meal, right? Like there's other ways to connect, specifically as women, through outdoor activities. I actually am interviewing a woman for my next episode about the mommy wine culture, and how like women are like, like there's a lot of pressure. Like if you're struggling as a new mom, just have a glass of wine, right? And how that can really create addiction. And then what I'm hearing from you, like if you're needing support, like instead of having a glass of wine, call your friend and be like, hey, can we go for a walk? Because you need to talk. Like women, we like to talk it out, right?
yeah.
And you can do it over the phone, or you could do it in a new moms group. But if you have a friend who's local, who's willing to come over, and you don't have to just sit in your house, like you can just be like, let's get out. And if your baby's born, you put the baby in the stroller, or you wear the baby. But they sleep a lot those first few months. So you just bring them along or whatever. But the whole point is you just need to maybe vent and emote even, right?
Yeah.
With a fellow woman who gets you and knows you, and can support you at a level that, a birth provider and other, perhaps even your partner can't even offer that same sort of emotional support.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's something about, women struggling postpartum. I think that's something that we're starting to talk about more as a culture, but really could, as a society, maybe is the better word, but really could continue to have that conversation, because the glass of wine isn't gonna, it's not likely gonna help long term for sure.
No.
And, I think getting outside can be a helpful piece, but that is something that is really, really common. And I hope that we talk about it more and more. I know after the birth of my second daughter, I had wicked postpartum anxiety. And sometimes it was paralyzing. Like I didn't want to leave the house. And, like you're saying about like having a friend that you can sort of talk through that stuff with. And, cause I have a very supportive partner but he didn't really get it. It wasn't like something he could really relate to. And so I think, finding friends where you can, and mom friends are great once you have kids because they do understand a lot of what you're going through.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And the more that we can talk and support each other, and even like talking to your friend, they might be able to provide resources like, oh, you can go see my chiropractor. It's going to help your back pain. And, or this therapist really helped me when I was feeling, the baby blues, or there's a new moms group. Like there's a lot of resources out there. And I think sometimes when you're paralyzed, like you were mentioning, you don't even know where to start, where to go, and you just get stuck. Right.
Yeah.
And so a girlfriend can just kind of give you a gentle nudge and just be like, here's some options, what resonates with you. And you take baby steps one day at a time, but, always from a place of what do I need to help me feel good, and feeling good physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, all of the things. And that will change from day to day, but as you continue to make that a priority, I feel like that can help you get unstuck, and then more healthy lifestyle will come along, right? Like once you start moving that trajectory, it's just like, okay, now I can add in one more thing to my self-care basket. And now next week I can bring in something else, and it gets easier and easier.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think there's more resources now and more attention. And I hope that continues to grow and continues to, find different ways that we can support new moms, because it is really hard. And then the journey through motherhood, is hard at times too, even if it's not a newborn. And I'm a huge proponent of like pelvic floor physical therapy. I know that's something that's getting a lot more attention and publicity than it ever was. And I think sometimes those types of care providers that are maybe not the traditional OBGYN can be another resource to like, just if you're going in for pelvic floor PT or acupuncture or something like that, just another touch point.
Yes.
Of someone who might be like, how are you doing? Or,
yes. I see that a lot in my practice with the postpartum women coming in for an adjustment. It's like, and what we find is when you're doing any of those types of like body work sessions, either pre or postpartum, when someone's touching you, it's very intimate. And, there can be a lot of release that's moved out of the body with these types of services. And it does help with that unsticking and that paralyzing. It really helps a woman be like, okay, I'm clear now about what I need, because even maybe before I had no idea like what I needed.
Right.
But now I have a little more of an idea, or I'm not in so much pain, so I can think better, or, I can take a nap, I'm sleeping better, like all the things that we need to have our brains function, right?
Yep.
When we get these types of support, then we're able to, I feel like, have a clear mind, right? And then that clear mind is really going to get back to that intuition and knowingness of what do I need now, and what is best for my family, and making those decisions that resonate with you, even if they're not popular or mainstream. It's almost like also not just following that sheep mentality, which I think is really important. It's really like, okay, maybe everyone around here is doing this, but that doesn't feel right for me. So and that can be scary too, right?
Yeah.
If you're making a decision, or choice for yourself and your family that's not popular or common in your community.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think like back to like coming in for an adjustment too, that's like another thing that it's just focused on you And so I think that can be really nourishing, even if you don't even talk much, it's just like having that attention just on you can be really,
you're
really
supporting the innate intelligence healing ability of the body.
Yeah.
So you do physically feel better, but there's an emotional release that occurs as well. In our practice, we see dyads. So we literally adjust the mom first. And if it's a newborn sleeping, they might be in the room. If they're a little older, they hang out with my front desk. You know what I mean? You don't have to have separate childcare. You bring your baby with you, BYOB. And then it's the baby's turn to get their alignment. But I typically, especially if the baby comes in, the baby's sleeping, I'm like, mom gets care first. And I think that's also important. Like, mom, you put your oxygen mask on first, right?
Yes.
Mom gets the adjustment, and then baby gets an adjustment. And the only time we reverse that, if it's like, there's a feeding or sleep schedule thing that we're trying to work with. But in general, I always like to have the mom go first. And then she's just more relaxed. Her nervous system is better regulated. And guess what? Babies cannot regulate their own nervous system. Even young children cannot regulate their own nervous system. So they're very dependent on primarily their mothers to regulate their nervous system. So if you're feeling anxious and really anxiety is fear, right? And your nervous system does not feel safe, your baby's nervous system is unable to feel safe as well. And it's almost like if we think back to that cave woman, it's like, the cave woman doesn't feel safe because she knows there's a tiger lurking outside, right? And she's kind of like protect her and her baby from death. And our nervous systems are still wired the same way, right? So we're still in that oversympathetic fight or flight. And all that baby knows is mom's not safe. So therefore I'm definitely not safe because I can't take care of myself. So there must be a tiger waiting outside the cave, right? So this is the same genetics and patterning that we still haven't evolved out of that yet. So I think the reality is that even like when I hear of young children with anxiety, I know that they're not feeling safe in their nervous system because of their caregivers. And it's not about judgment. It's about like, how do we support the dyad, right? How do we support the mom and the child in feeling safe? Because we all deserve to feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really great point. And to acknowledge that like our nervous systems really haven't changed, I think is helpful information, to know. Like because I think that's a trap that moms fall into. Like, there's nothing wrong with you.
Right. Like, obviously I'm fine. Like, I'm fine, but yet I'm anxious. Right. And it's like, well, if you're anxious, you're not fine. And they're searching. They're like, everything is okay in my life. I have no idea why I feel this way. Because I mean, obviously there could be times where you're like, I know why I'm stressed. Right. It's, I have bills that are due and, my husband lost his job or we're getting divorced or whatever. Like those are like in your face. I know why I'm feeling this stress. But what about the times when a woman's like, I'm stressed and I'm anxious and I'm depressed and I have nothing to be depressed or anxious about, right? Like everything is beautiful in my life. I have this beautiful baby and everything is taken care of. And, I think that sometimes actually creates more of a shame because it's almost like, why am I feeling this way when this poor woman is going through these horrible things in her life right now? And I feel similar to that. Right. And I shouldn't feel that way. I should feel good. So I think it's not about should, it's about if we're feeling the way we're feeling, despite whether we know why, it's an opportunity to investigate the deeper subconscious beliefs that are clearly creating those current feelings and emotions and addressing that. And it doesn't have to be what's going on in our current life. It could just be literally, something from our early childhood, even perhaps from our own fetal experience or our own newborn experience, right? That could be triggered when we're pregnant and giving birth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's important. And, for me, if a woman's really like, I have no idea why I'm feeling this way, and they can't like even think back to an event in their early childhood that might be triggering them, then working with a qualified hypnotherapist can be so powerful, because you can really tap into that subconscious beliefs and release the ones that are no longer serving you. When you become conscious of them, right? We can't release things like that if we're not aware of it. The first step is awareness. So working with somebody like that can be very powerful, and it can be even deeper than perhaps like a traditional psychotherapy. But like an EMDR, there's so many cool modalities out there that can help us identify and release those limiting beliefs.
Yeah. And that's something I really, I hope that we can do a better job for all of us as humans, but definitely I have a big soft spot for new moms and pregnant women, to just increase all access to that stuff and resources, so that, it's not just a 6-week checkup after you give birth and then you sort of move on. That there could be more check-ins with maybe, a chiropractor or a hypnotherapist, or, something like a pelvic floor PT, or, a psychiatrist, just more touch points for a new mom. I hope that's someplace that we can get to.
Yeah. I mean, even a lactation consultant, the postpartum doula, all these care providers that are working with women after the birth, and they don't even have to be the birth provider. I know, my birth provider was a midwife, and she was, checking in on me, 1 or 2 days after I gave birth, actually probably almost every day. Like, it was a very different experience than if I had delivered with an OB. Right. So there's another awareness. Like, if you're looking for a little more of an intimate connection with your birth provider, hiring a midwife might, and if you're healthy and, a low risk pregnancy, then a midwife could be a better provider, as opposed to an OBGYN who's really trained for more high risk pregnancies and high risk deliveries, and, pregnancy that requires more medical care. Right. So,
and
it's
like
nice that we have options.
Sort of the beginning too, like the postpartum doula, that can be like someone that could be there for you too.
Oh yeah. And all these types of practitioners that see new women on a regular basis, we have spidey senses. Like, when I see a woman come in and I can tell she's not thriving, and it's different than like, okay, she's her normal sleep deprived new mom. Right. Then, I'm there to be like, let's get you some emotional support. Right. And it's not about just like going to a psych ward. It's like, no, there's a lot of outpatient therapies and support systems that are meant for these, to help a woman with postpartum mood disorders, but not take her away from her baby. Right. Because that's like the last thing that a woman struggling after birth needs. She needs her baby, and she also needs to get additional professional support. And, I think that's helpful when, like you said, maybe the partner's not aware of it. She's not even maybe aware, especially if it's a first time. She's not aware that this isn't a normal reaction, to being a new mom. And, she can, actually feel better, and with the support and resources that are available.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, just circling back to sort of being outside, I think it's, pretty well documented that, like, it can, getting outside can help with your sleep. And, you are so sleep deprived sometimes in pregnancy, depending on what kind of pregnancy you're having, but certainly once the baby arrives, getting outside can help with to some extent with some of that sleep deprivation and all sorts of things, I think,
Yeah. And being very gentle. So like, if you were used to being really active, even during the pregnancy, after the birth, maybe it's just a gentle walk around the block, but it's, at noon when the sun is the brightest, you're getting that, vitamin D, which is also going to help with your mood, and just a little bit of a break from caretaking and quiet time, a meditative time, ideally like 20 minutes. We all need 20 minutes minimum to ourselves every single day, just to like, be with ourselves, right? Connect. So important. Do you have any last thoughts you want to share with the audience?
Oh gosh. I don't know that I can think of any off the top of my head, but this was great, like talking with you. And I think I'll just leave. Like, I guess my wish for the audience is that every mom, every pregnant woman feels very supported throughout pregnancy and after.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Laura. It was great to be here.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Michelle. I really felt her passion to help women feel empowered and loved despite becoming a mother. You know, those darn babies just get all the attention sometimes. So she's just feeling passionate that the more we can spend time outside in nature, depending on the climate and the weather that we live in, the more that we are physically stronger, mentally stronger, and it will set us up for more of a successful parenting journey. And having that beautiful bonding connection with our children out in nature as well is a great tool that we can model for our families. So if you want to check out her amazing high quality activewear for pre and postnatal women, go to her website at arcticlynxmaternity.com.